He survived the deadliest war in human history. He commanded thousands of soldiers across Europe. German generals feared his name. But George Patton did not die in battle. Not from a bullet, not from a bomb. And when news of his death reached Britain, one man spoke words that shocked the world. Those words came from Winston Churchill. And what he said revealed who Patton truly was. George Patton was not an ordinary general. He was aggressive, brilliant, and obsessed with winning. He believed war was not meant to be fought carefully. It was meant to be crushed with speed and force. His tanks moved faster than anyone thought possible. His strategies shocked both allies and enemies. Some soldiers loved him, others feared him, but everyone respected him. By the end of World War II, Patton had become a legend. Many believed he would lead future wars. Some even said he was unstoppable. Until everything suddenly ended. After surviving the bloodiest war in human history, Patton did not die in battle. No bullets, no explosions, no heroic final stand. Instead, he died in a quiet car accident. A military truck hit his vehicle on a peaceful road in Germany. Everyone else survived. Only Patton was fatally injured. The man who escaped thousands of bombs was taken out by a simple crash. Many called it tragic. Others called it suspicious. And some believed it was no accident at all. Before we continue, do you think Patton's death was truly an accident or something much darker? Let me know in the comments. What made Patton's death even more disturbing was what he had been saying in the final months of the war. Patton was no longer just fighting Germany. He was openly criticizing the Soviet Union. He warned that a new war was coming, a war between former allies. And he believed the West should strike first, while it still could. Patton said the Soviets were the real future threat to the world. Many political leaders hated hearing this. They wanted peace. They wanted stability. But Patton wanted action. He was loud, he was fearless, and he refused to stay quiet. Some officers later claimed Patton had become a problem, not for the enemy, but for his own side. A general who spoke too freely, a hero who couldn't be controlled. And when powerful people feel threatened, history shows accidents often follow. Just weeks before his death, Patton told friends he felt something bad was coming. He said he believed his career was being ended on purpose. And then, suddenly, he was gone. When news of Patton's death reached Winston Churchill, the British leader did not treat it like an ordinary accident. He went silent for a long moment. Then he said something no one expected. Churchill did not speak about the crash. He did not speak about fate. Instead, he spoke about what the world had just lost. Churchill said, "General Patton was one of the few men who truly understood modern war. He was a warrior born for battle. And men like him appear only once in a generation." He called Patton irreplaceable, a force of nature, a commander who could change the outcome of entire wars. But then Churchill added something darker. He said the world was entering a dangerous new era, and Patton was exactly the kind of leader the West would soon need. Yet he was gone, at the very moment when his strength mattered most. Many who heard Churchill's words felt the same chill. It was as if history had removed Patton too soon, almost deliberately. What few people know is that Patton's crash was never properly investigated. The truck driver was quietly released. No serious questioning, no military court. The report was closed almost immediately. Even more strange, several witnesses later claimed the truck appeared suddenly, as if it had been waiting. Some said Patton's car was forced into the collision. Others said the road had been mysteriously blocked. But every testimony disappeared from official records. Years later, former intelligence officers hinted something darker. They claimed Patton was considered dangerous, not for enemies, but for post-war politics. A man who could start a conflict leaders wanted to avoid. And according to one former spy, Patton's death was not an accident. It was a warning. After Patton's death, strange things continued to happen. His personal diaries disappeared. Letters he had written about the Soviets were never returned to his family. Several documents about his final weeks were sealed for decades. When historians later asked to see them, they were told the files were missing. Even Patton's widow believed something was wrong. She openly said she did not believe the crash was an accident. She said Patton had told her, "They don't want me around anymore." At the time, no one understood what he meant. But after his death, those words felt terrifyingly clear. Meanwhile, military leaders quickly moved on. No memorial investigations, no public questioning. It was as if the world was told to forget Patton. And surprisingly fast, it did. But behind closed doors, many officers whispered the same thing. Patton knew too much, and he spoke too freely. Years later, one shocking confession surfaced. A former intelligence officer claimed that high-ranking officials discussed removing Patton, not killing him in battle, but stopping him permanently. Because Patton was pushing for war with the Soviets, a war politicians were terrified to start. The officer said Patton was seen as unpredictable, too popular, too powerful, and impossible to silence. According to this source, the crash was arranged to look accidental. A simple military vehicle, a quiet road. No witnesses who could prove anything. Perfect. Of course, no official proof was ever released. But the pattern was clear. Whenever powerful figures threaten the future plans of leaders, they often disappear. Just like Patton did. But Churchill's words were not about death. They were about legacy. He believed Patton was the kind of leader history rarely creates. A commander who understood chaos, who moved faster than fear, who turned impossible battles into victories. Churchill said men like Patton were not just soldiers. They were forces that shaped the future. And losing one was like losing an entire army. To Churchill, Patton was not a general who survived war. He was a man born for moments when the world was collapsing. A warrior meant for the hardest times in human history. And when Patton was gone, Churchill feared something even worse than defeat. He feared the world would face new dangers without leaders like him. That is why his words shocked everyone. Not because Patton had died, but because the world had lost a protector it didn't realize it needed. And maybe that is the true tragedy of George Patton. Not how he died, but how much history might have changed if he had lived. Do you think Patton was one of the greatest commanders in history, or a man the world lost too soon? Write your thoughts below. And if you enjoy powerful moments from history, subscribe for more.